Squirrels have like one of the biggest balls per ratio of their bodies.
Seriously?
I think that's where we're starting.
We're starting the podcast with
Yeah.
that. Wait. Tell me more. So per ratio, squirrels, not like rats or mice. Squirrels.
You know, actually, who told me this?
Who?
Justin Garcia, the director of Kinsey Institute.
He knows about squirrel balls.
We went to lunch in Miami. And we were just talking, and he's like, "Did you know that squirrels have really big balls? Like one of the biggest balls compared to their bodies." Like, thank you for that fact. I needed
now
this
I
today.
do. I love useless knowledge like that. You have no idea.
That's
where
useful.
Where
I have used it at every dinner party.
So I'm just so curious about why, like, evolutionarily speaking, like why squirrels have bigger balls, and also there's like the fuck like a rabbit. Like, do rabbits have really big balls? Like, why is it fucking?
No, I had
not
rabbits
like
when I was little. I don't remember balls being.
They just do
big.
the like.
They had like little hairy balls. Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't necessarily like being fucked like that. I think.
Yeah. Oh, the jackrabbit. Oh yeah. Serves a time and a place.
I was just watching
a
that
lot of time.
The Napoleon movie. Did you? I don't know. With
I haven't seen it yet. Is it
Joaquin
good?
Phoenix. You know, it's a period piece, and
he's really followed us on
it. I mean, I feel like I learned some things. However, my point for bringing it up is that Joaquin Phoenix, he's Napoleon, and he was fucking his partner Josephine, who he's in love with, and he like to make a baby, to make the heir, and he was just like, and I was like, that looks horrible, and she's sitting there like, kind of like, ugh,
look at
like,
the ceiling,
finish already, you know. And I was like, oh, Napoleon, you needed help with your positioning and your frequency.
So I have a feeling that most world leaders are not good lovers.
Yeah. Please tell us more about that. And we are shaking our heads or nodding. Yes. Why do you think that?
Except Obama. Because like Obama and Michelle always look like they just fucked. Like they always look like they just had sex. Like, you know, she loves having sex with him. You can just tell by energy.
Do you think that's a trick to like actually like show out, not just like for, you know, our world's leaders, but, you know, people on the movie set or something, like freshly fucked,
like the post orgasm glow?
Yeah,
maybe. I think so. And it's that like adoration, right? Like she's always kind of like looking at him like adoringly, which you don't really see with other leaders and their like partners.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't see Putin with any glow. Let me just tell you that.
He has his dogs. They love him unconditionally.
Oh, no.
Anyways, not a political podcast, everyone. Hey, welcome to the Shameless Sex Podcast. We just had to start it with that. The other thing I just wanted to add here, and because so this episode with Dr. Tara, who is a phenomenal human being, sex educator, sexpert, therapist, all the things, the internet's resident sexpert. And she also has the Love Bites podcast, but also if you go to look on the social world, she is big on the Instagrams and probably the TikToks. And so I
like the plural. I like the pluraling, the Instagrams
and TikTok,
all of them.
But I wanted, before we move in, because this episode is going to be just like random questions for the internet's resident sexpert. So we're going to talk about everything from communication to body neutrality to sex positions to how to discover your intersex
squirrel balls
and squirrel balls. So before we I just want to ask one other thing. What are your thoughts on this? So I heard, April, this is speaking to the Napoleon thing. Mm-hmm. I heard that the whole idea about a man's cock size, like a bigger cock being like, oh, he's such a man, actually wasn't the case, I don't know, many hundreds of years ago, when it was actually about balls, ball size. It was like a small cock, big balls. Actually, it was like, oh, look at that man over there. Has anyone heard of this, Dr. Tara?
Yes. Do you know why those marble statues have micro penises on? Because that's the most powerful men. It's actually like really popular in many eras, like Baroque, Renaissance, to make these sculptures of men, and the most masculine men have tiny penises. So, you know, like, want to bring it back?
Yeah.
You know, there is something to say about, maybe that's because of, I don't know, that this is just a shot in the dark, and I like to postulate and hypothesize and theorize. Maybe it was because, right, childbirth was really difficult back in the days, right? The Renaissance period, it was so dangerous to have children, and maybe that was a sign that the man had more fertility or more sperm or produce more because it's like where the sperm
or the
produced.
big balls. Yeah.
Yeah, the big balls versus like a big penis.
Like I can make a lot of babies, just so you know.
Yes.
Right.
Like our legacy is ensured.
Yeah. Like I can make 20 if you want.
That's what I would think. Because if those things are swinging you and hitting you, if you're doing a doggy style and you're, you're in the medieval times.
Or maybe like, so the big cock also could have been like dangerous. Like you get stuck on a branch or something. So the smaller cocks is more survival. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like,
well, and they didn't have lube. So like,
there's that.
Big cocks, not good.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I wonder what they use. Maybe water and saliva, maybe some wine or fermented beer.
Yeah.
my pussy hurts just hearing you say that.
Yeah, literally.
Okay. Anyways, everyone, back to the show. So, Dr. Tara, we always start with the same prompt with all of our listeners, even though they heard a little bit about you in our intro and they probably have seen you on the internet because you are quite famous. But can you tell us a little bit more about how you got to where you are today in the field of sexuality, and how did a shy immigrant from Thailand become the internet's resident sexpert?
I mean, it's a long story, but I'm gonna keep it short. I'm originally from Thailand. I went to an all-girls Catholic school. I grew up in a very conservative family. We went to temple like 2-3 times a week. I pray every day, meditated every day. I still do. But I grew up super religious in both ways. Catholic, like with Catholicism and Buddhism infused, because like school and home. And that was the environment that I grew up in. So naturally I was very sexually repressed. But
surprising, but not
extremely repressed.
Mm-hmm.
But my natural inclination is curiosity and exploration. Like I've always been kind of the kid that like runs away and look at things and not really staying focused. I remember being 11, and in Thailand you use bidets. Like you've been to Thailand, like you know how we have those bidets, the handheld ones.
Yes.
And I would just like use it for a long time because it felt good. I didn't know it was orgasm or pleasure or whatever. I just felt good. And I remember that was kind of like my first time realizing like my body could do different things. And I was really curious about that. However, it's still within the context of like so much repression and shame within myself, because everywhere I'm taught to like not explore my body, not show my body, not explore sexually. So when I went to high school in Finland. That was my first time seeing other naked bodies. So in Finland, they go into saunas together naked. And it's multi-generational. So like when I stayed with a host family, like there was a grandpa, a grandma, the parents, and the 3 kids. And they all went into the sauna together naked. So like I saw grandpa's balls and like, I was just like, whoa, this is so crazy. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen because I'm from Thailand. I've never seen anything like this before. And the kids were normal. Like they didn't freak out that they just saw this guy's balls and it's like the father's father. And I was just so both confused, but also like excited that all of this is happening. And that was when I first was introduced to like nudity and like sex positivity and just people not caring about their bodies, like body neutrality. Like just not really emphasizing it. It's not like, oh my God, it's a celebration. But it's also not like I fucking hate myself, right? It's like in between, which I really loved. I really enjoyed. So after that, I came to LA, and LA is like one of the most, I feel like, sexually liberated places in the world. LA, New York, like Europe, and many cities in Europe, like Amsterdam, London, right? So being like an Asian girl, like immigrant from Thailand and going to school and trying to like find myself, but also super insecure because, here I am like short, skinny, didn't speak fluent English, just like a lot of pain points, a lot of reasons why I was super insecure. And throughout my 20s, I would like heal it with trying to become really good at school so that I have something to show. And in school, I started studying relational communication. So I studied interactions within romantic relationships, and the first study ever that I presented at a conference, and I then later published it in an academic journal, was on long-distance relationships and effective strategies in maintaining long-distance relationships. So that's how I got started, like studying relationships. And also at the time, like exploring a lot, but still live in my very like insecure, disempowered space. Then I went to a PhD program, and there I learned like so much research and so much theory, and just learning about how humans behave, why they behave that way has been really empowering for me. At the same time, I was also exploring like psychedelics, which has helped me a lot in like understanding myself and like what I'm here for, like in the world. So yeah, at this point, I was all over the place. After I graduated with my PhD, I got my dream job at Cal State Fullerton as a tenure track professor. And again, I was still in my like, I'm gonna achieve, like I'm gonna get tenure, the youngest person to get tenure, and just focus on that. But at that time, I was in my, I was past 25. So my mom's like, you gotta get married. Like you're getting old. You got to get married. Like all your friends are married because in Thailand, people get married at like 23. So I went on Tinder and married like the first person I met.
No,
Wow.
seriously? What?
We got
How did
married in
that
like
go?
6 months.
Oh, wow.
We're divorced.
Yeah. Surprising.
Wow.
But that was the moment that changed my life. That marriage and like me exploring my own like desire, sexuality, passion. What do I need in life? Like building my own self-esteem, self-worth, self-respect, and also not really attach my value to what is quote unquote seemingly successful, because I was seemingly successful. I was married to this man. He's tall, handsome, rich. We live like oceanfront property. We travel the world. We went to Greece. Like life's great. I'm a professor at Cal State Fullerton. Life's amazing, but inside it was not. It was not at all.
Mhm.
I was very, what's a good word for it?
Oppressed?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
I
a
was-
good
I-
word
I-
for it.
Yes. Or you couldn't shine. You couldn't shine your light because you felt like you were fitting in a box that maybe wasn't your
Yeah,
box.
Dim down, dull. Mhm.
That's literally, do we have the same story?
I mean, we've
Yeah.
been there in different ways.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I think a lot of women have actually. And
Mhm.
so I was in that where like, it's like, well, I should be happy because it checked every box. This marriage like checks every box. And why am I not happy? And then it made me feel like I'm being ungrateful and I'm not being positive. So I went down the rabbit hole of fixing myself. I was seeing everyone. I was seeing like a therapist, a chiropractor, a coach, a life coach, a money coach, a love coach, like just figuring out myself. And this is why like I love other professionals, because I know like I needed them and they were there to like help me. So I went through like a huge personal transformation from my divorce, where I purposefully like write things down daily, where like I choose myself and all the desires that I have that I'm choosing every single day. And I do that and I say it out loud and I write it down and I do all the things. And when I talk to my friends, I talk about it in a manner where I put myself first. And that was like the change that put me in this field. Because once I was on my way to feeling very empowered by myself, I started teaching in class more like myself. And that's where my students came in, because I was always teaching sexual communication. I wrote a textbook with two of my other professors. And my students are like, oh my God, Dr. Tara, you're so funny in class. You should have social media. And this was like 3 years ago. I didn't have social media. And they were like, you should have social media. I was like, what would I put on there? And they were like, just say this in like 30 seconds. And so I started, doing social media and I really liked it. And it got really positive feedback. Like I grew my TikTok like to 2 million in 2 years, which was really incredible to see how like I was there for other people when they feel ashamed. I'm saying things shamelessly. I'm saying things shamelessly. So it allows them for space to not be ashamed. So I felt very grateful at the time and still now for my students for pushing me to like have social media. So all in all, I love Gen Zs.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Gen Zs. And yeah, I started my social media and here we are, as a sexologist who like, I study sex and I research sex and I write about sex because of my job as a professor. But my like social media life and like the TV show and all of that, it started because of my students.
Mhm. Oh,
Well, isn't it? So this is just a testament in this, and thank you for Kapunka for sharing because it's like this, you being yourself, right? You finally were able to be yourself. It can be scary, but you want to kind of steer yourself away from rejection. At least I know that that's a case for a lot of people, and it's scary to put yourself out there. Social media, it can be worse than Judge Judy's court, right? Where people are nasty,
ruthless,
and it's ruthless and demeaning, and people really can just cut you. And so I love though. Yes, I love that you could be yourself, and you opened up, and you've grown so fantastically on those channels, helping people though. Really, it's not just you taking selfies of yourself, like, look at how beautiful I am, because that to me is like, it's great. There's a purpose for it, but like, you're helping people.
There's purpose for it.
Yeah.
Jerking off.
Yeah. Right. So
we're wanking.
I just feel like that's when I've come into my power in my life, and I'm not talking, bringing this to me, but I just want to say like that resonated with me, because I feel like I was trying a lot of times to be something that I wasn't over the years. And the moment that I really started to shine in my life and be in my flow and in alignment, I felt like with what maybe that I was supposed to be on this planet for, or how I am, was
we're just talking about
myself.
sex a lot.
We're talking about sex a lot, but being awkward and being weird, because I am. I'm like a weirdo, and I have ADHD since I was little, and I squirrel out all the time, and I always thought that something was wrong with me. And same in the bedroom, right? Like I was always like, "What's wrong with me?" Because I'm not doing it what people talk about. And so I just wanted to commend you for finding that flow and saying thank you in gratitude for helping others find their flow in life and in sexuality by sharing your story. So then that wasn't my question. I just wanted to say that came up for me. Yeah. And especially as an immigrant woman, that's like a heavy with parents like pressuring you, and then you got divorced. You're probably like, fuck, like what's wrong with me? Like, is there something wrong with me?
I feel like
right?
the divorce itself can be the entire episode, because like that was a lot. Like just my personal experience, as well as like my family, and like how disappointed they were, because like where I'm from, people don't ever fucking get a divorce. Like you stick it out. That's the testament of a good woman, a good person. Like you stick it out. You're there for your husband. You support your family. You have children and you raise them right. And it's never about personal happiness. It's all about the collective. We're a collectivistic culture, right? Which has its perks. Like, my friends always say, you never see homeless Asian people because Asians stay at home.
Never thought about this, but you're right. Shit.
Yeah, like when you're in LA and like downtown LA where I live, you never see Asian homeless person, because like how tight the family unit is and how tight the collective is. Like someone will 100% help you, even if you're a very problematic person. Right. So it's like to its fault almost. But that's the tightness of the family, which I love. There are parts of the culture and my religion, like Buddhism, that I love. But then there's parts that are oppressive as hell for women that I discarded, and I no longer have them with me. I trash. I put it in the trash.
But April actually this is not hers. It's from our friend in the adult toy industry, where it's not put in trash. You put it on ice. You have a ceremony. You like fold this photo of whatever.
Our French friend,
who her grandma used to
her grandmother. Well, she
put it on ice.
She's from France, and when I was going through a hardship, she was like, "Oh, honey, you have to put him on ice." My grandmother, she has so many things on ice in her fridge. You have no idea. I was like, "Oh my god,
yeah."
And it worked. I felt like that icing the energy, but
I like that.
It is icing the energy, and then if you want to take them off ice, you can. But you can have like 50 little rolled up pieces of paper in your freezer with people's names on ice.
Well, I think you and I both separately put 2 people in the freezer, and I know that at least one of those the people I put in the freezer, like it's my dad. I still contact on occasion
in the freezer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you only had one?
Yeah.
But your dad in there?
No. I was trying to hear a relationship.
I thought our dads were in the icebox together.
Also, you're really good at impersonation. Like you should do stand up.
Oh, well, I should.
Obviously,
well, I don't know.
Corner.
I also want to say, because so the family unit thing, unsheltered or homeless folks that aren't Asian, you're right. My sister-in-law, she was from Laos, And so it was, and then her family immigrated in the 70s, yes, from Laos. And they always lived together. And until they were, folks were married, because she had 2 brothers and a sister. And once they got married, they moved out of the family unit, but they still were so involved. And even if they were in their 30s, one of the brothers lived there until he was 30s. And I know other folks that immigrated from different parts of Asia that it's the same, and it's very culturally acceptable. And I mean, if you meet a 30-year-old dude that's from Wisconsin,
who lives with his mom,
with his mom,
like, I don't know if that's okay. Something wrong with
That's
you.
the difference. Yeah. In Thailand, if they were 30 and they did not live, like if let's say there's a single guy and he's attractive and you meet him at like a bar and he says he does not live with his mom, that's a huge questionable thing. Like, are you from a broken family? And it's like a huge disadvantage in dating in Thailand. And in a lot of Asian cultures, like Japanese culture, Korean, Chinese, if you didn't live with your family, like why? Like what's wrong with your family?
That's so interesting.
It's so different.
On this topic, and this was not even in our list of questions, but I'm just curious about, so we're bringing it to sex. And so you are the internet's resident sexpert or sex expert, but sexpert. And you have your family that with upbringing in Catholicism and Buddhism. How does everyone in your world feel about you being the internet's resident sexpert?
Good question.
At the beginning, not great. My dad was very anti like all the social media and media stuff. He's like, stay in your lane, like be a professor, because it's, like it's prestigious. It's serious, right? Like serious things are worthy. Unserious things are not. Even though he's like a life of a party, but like, in terms of your work domain, you should have like a status, a position. So he did not like it when I started doing like social media and media stuff. He actually would like just tune out when I talk about it. Like when I go home to Bangkok and, I would go for like a month and we would talk about that. And my dad would just be like, it will all end soon. Like as in it's a phase. It's like, I'm still bisexual, but
that's not leaving, Dad. Sorry.
He's like, it's a phase. It will go away. It's social media, whatever. And then, here I am a few years later and it just gets like bigger and bigger. And I think now he has accepted that I really love it. And he accepted that it's okay for something that I love. He still doesn't think I should be talking about these things online or on the media, but he's like, well, it's not something I can do. If I can choose, I would just choose for you to be a professor and like go through your like ranks, right? Become an associate professor. And now I'm an associate professor, but then work to become full and like all of those things like in academia. But my mom though, my mom's so fun. My mom has never had a vibrator until she was 60.
You gave it to her, didn't you?
Until she was 60.
Yes. Yeah, you gave it. Yes.
Wait, but Thailand vibrators are illegal.
Right.
They are, because I brought one and I was like, should I put this in nature's pockets and no one finds it? I'm scared. I did it.
For pussy.
I just put it in my cosmetics bag and hope for the best. It's like, I'm not going to Thai prison today.
I'm bringing one that looks like a Coke bottle.
Girl, you'd be so popular in Thai prison. They would be like, oh, Sandra Bullock.
Not without my vibrator. I'd be like, oh, damn it.
We'll all finger bang you in prison.
There you go. I'd make best friends.
As long as her nails were trimmed, I'd be fine with it.
Oh my God. That would be a good book.
Not with these.
No, not those fucking towels.
Tara, I'd be like,
so wait, you gave your 60-year-old mom her first vibrator.
Yeah. And she loves it. At first, she didn't know how to use it. She like called me. She's like, how do you use it? I'm like, just turn it on. And she's like, and then what? I'm like, Mom, I'm going to send you a porn video to watch. She's like, no, don't send it. I don't want to have it on my phone. Like the government will know.
It's true. It's usually banned. I tried to look at porn when I was in Thailand and
Oh my God, you tried to look at porn when you were in Thailand.
I did.
No, can't do.
By myself. I was like, damn it.
Without porn for a month.
Just firewall too strong.
Hey, you know what? It helps me sleep. Okay. I was trying to go to sleep.
It's like Dipsy sleep stories, but porn.
I do want to share another fun fact because yes, vibrators and like all those things are not technically legal, as well as prostitution is not technically legal. But in Thailand, they don't actually like enact these laws.
Yeah.
So there
Not like
are
they're not arresting
bathhouses
you
with
for it.
prostitutes everywhere. Bathhouses everywhere with prostitutes inside.
Soy
And,
cowboy, right? That
Yeah, that's one of them. And then like
Right.
tons of sex toys are sold on the street, like with the kiosk thing on the street.
gently used. No, I'm just
No.
Potentially, yeah. Some guys like it, they sniff in and they jerk off.
Yeah. Ooh, that's you charge
Ooh.
more.
Have
higher.
you ever thought about selling your vibrators on Poshmark?
Oh, Poshmark. I didn't even think about that.
No.
I was thinking OnlyFans.
wow.
These are used.
I mean, look, mine got a lot of buildup, so
She does not like to clean her sex toys.
I do, but I just
I
forget.
clean them for her.
I always preach about it to everyone.
We've
Okay,
talked
sorry.
about
We're on
OnlyFans and
that.
various things like that. So yes, we have thought about doing this at some point. So April's vibrator, crusty and all, coming to you for
You'll be banking.
$1,000 starting bid. I don't know if it's a bidding.
Starting bid. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of like the vibe. My mom has been like really supporting me. She liked all my posts. And we even made a video together one time when she visited last year here. We made a sex positive video where I was like, sex positivity, we love it. My mom and then my mom said, hell yeah.
Aw,
Like this little 63-year-old woman. She's just she's so supportive now. At the beginning, she did not like it and she didn't understand it. But I think after talking through it with her and how much I'm passionate about it, I think she supports me so much now. It's very sweet. Although she still doesn't really share with other people because her friends, they have this group of like bitchy old ladies and they read together, but they don't really read,
like they're not reading.
They just
our
gossip and complain.
Can we send them Shameless Sex?
Yeah, you should. You should.
We'll cross out sex and put intimacy.
Shameless intimacy.
Yeah. Or we hate our husbands.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
there you go.
they would go to this book club and they would pretend to read, but they don't really read, they gossip. But she still doesn't really tell them about what I do. And then one of them through their son found my Instagram, and that's a whole thing. Where my mom's like, oh, well, she just does that occasionally. And
you don't do that occasionally. I watch you on
followers.
Instagram. Yeah, no, that's not occasional. You're doing some big things on there.
Yeah. So she's still it's her journey, right?
Yeah.
Accepting me is her journey. My journey is her accepting me.
Yeah.
But then her journey is the ability to share it with her friends, which I don't take it as my own. I'm like, you go, you do you.
You can't personalize or I'll speak for myself. For me, if I want to be, they're offended by what I do. I've heard certain people, I won't say names, but said oh, you work in the sex toy industry. That's almost a lesser than what kind of adult
You're
does
a porn
that?
star.
Yeah. Or but what kind of adult does that?
Right.
And to me, I'm like, that's just, someday you'll figure it out, by the way, because I'm your best friend to give you the best sex toys. But
I mean, my family lied about what I did for years before I
women's
had the
health.
There or she sells lingerie or she sells cosmetics and there is even shame still a little bit in terms of my mom talking to her community, because it's also what you're talking about, this kind of older women that are
gossipy.
They're religious and they're religious too, and they are oh, we don't do that. And do what? You mean have sex? Okay, then you have 3 kids.
Have a lot of mind-blowing orgasms.
Yeah, so it's confusing, but I feel it's generational, and I actually get a kick out of it. I for a long time I was oppressed by it. I felt like I was oppressing myself, and I wanted to fit into the box that would please my family or please my mother or please my grandmother or please the people that were offended by me from where I grew up. And then I realized, I was like, no, that's not okay. That's their stuff. That's their stuff. And if they don't want to accept me, then they don't get a relationship with me until they can come clear with their own self. Right?
Yeah. And I think this would apply to anyone that feels I'm going to use the term closeted. And a lot of people think closeted is an orientation thing, but closeted meaning I can't be all, yes, I know I want to be naked all the time. I'm naked Amy. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about I get the privilege of doing exactly what I want all the time. It's that I can live as me and tell you about what interests me most in life. And it might be sex. I don't have to tell you about the raw dogging I did last night, but I can be here's
or maybe
what I'm passionate about. Or maybe yes.
They need it.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And I think so. Some things I've observed, because I do stalk you on the Instagrams. Yes, I said Instagrams again.
The Instagrams.
Yeah. The Instagrams. And you're really good at, well, de-shamifying anything that has to do with shame around sex. And I also like how you I've learned some new terms from you. One, this is not our question point here, but one was instead of virginity is, what was it? What is it?
Show debut.
Yeah, sure.
Your debut. Your sexual debut.
Sexual debut. Yes.
Sexual debut.
Sexual debut.
Because we've been looking for a new term here, and we're like, fucking virginity. We're just like, so we say the first time you had penetration or whatever. But the other one is body neutrality, and I don't know if that's yours. But I love that, because I know that we've talked about this. Like, people are like, I don't love my body, or how do I learn to love myself? Everyone says you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. Blah blah blah. And you talk about body neutrality. So can you describe in your own idea of what body neutrality is and how it's different from fully loving yourself?
Yes. Body neutrality is the concept that you can love and appreciate your body's functionalities without this like extreme positivity and celebration around its beauty. So it is appreciating and loving for function over beauty, because we tend to glorify beauty a lot. I mean, I shouldn't say in contemporary society, actually, it's been forever. We've always just glorified beauty, especially for women. Imagine like the women back then in the Renaissance or whatever, right? When women like couldn't work and like weren't appreciated for their talents, the only thing people cared about was beauty. So it carried forward until now. Like now we still do it, right? Like we put makeup on, we do our hair, and that's the quote unquote like the acceptable way. And that's okay, right? I do it too. I enjoy it too. But at the same time, I think there is this push for like loving the body and its beauty for what it is, which I don't disagree. I just can't do it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to find something that worked for me and all the people that follow me that also can't do it. So I'm like, okay, let's change the narrative here. Let's not be like, okay, like I feel fat today, but oh my God, my body is so beautiful. Maybe I don't feel beautiful today, but my body works. And I am so fucking appreciative of my body and how much it works for me. Right? The functionality. I think of like buying a car that takes you to places, right? Like there's cars that is functionable, and then there's like Ferrari. Like, do we feel like Ferrari on a daily basis? Probably not. But can we just be like a Honda and and go places, still go to beautiful places, go to eat, go see our friends? Like, it serves so many purposes and like just all the functionality. So that's body neutrality. Just is. Like, this is your body. I love it for all the things it does.
I think that is so profound, because if you look at, and I'm going to speak for women because I'm a woman, and if you look at, let's just talk about the 1900s and what the precipice of what beautiful was each decade, from the 1900s, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. And if you try to fit yourself into the box, I'm going to get my nose like this. I'm going to be super skinny, because that was what the heroin addict look was really big in the 90s, right? On the runway.
Like
or you want the Kardashian culture that it's happening. Like, I want to get butt implants. I want a skinny waist, and I want to have this like really this face with like really large, full cheeks and zero wrinkles, which it's because we're all on film. Or I want these huge eyes, and people are really, this is what I see. People are trying to fit in, no matter, they're born a certain way and they want to look a specific way because of what media is sharing about what beautiful is, what the trends are. And it's insane to look at what the transition of beauty is, when being skinny was a sign of you're poor, and being voluptuous or curvy.
Still a thing. So again, like at where we are now at this time of 2024, there are places where being skinny still is you're poor.
So let me speak for Western culture then, and maybe I'm not trying to generalize, it's difficult not to, because you do get a lot of trends that do carry over to other cultures. Like in Korea, chin implants to make their chins more, that's the number one plastic surgery. And obviously breasts are a different conversation. And so I don't want to tangentially speak because I don't think it's fair. However, I myself will question my face, my structure of my face, because it's not plump like Kim Kardashian, because I'm losing collagen and depth and fat in my face. And I'm like, no, April, this is just what's happening. Let's embrace this. I'll get bangs. For me, that's better than Botox, right? Because I'm like, I don't want to look like, I don't want to get all wrinkled and like a prune. And I also
look fantastic with bangs.
Yeah. And I love my bangs. So, I just think that sometimes I see women that I know and that I love that are like, okay, I'm going to get these like fillers in my lips or fillers in my cheeks or fillers in my face, or I want, and I don't shame them because I understand. At the same time, if you're going to go through major plastic surgery to make yourself look a certain way, like I want huge butt implants because that's big right now for me.
Yeah.
Like if someone said that, I would be like, why? And
is it functional?
Is it functional? Are you getting there? Do you want to do that? Because is it going to, if it makes you feel better, then I totally understand. Like I wear makeup because I think it makes me feel more pretty. I work out because I like to feel like more vital and like I can be strong. I love fashion because I love the way like different clothing makes me feel. So I hope that I didn't go off on too much of a tangent, but I just want to speak to that beauty thing like a little bit.
In 10 years, the butt implant thing might not be cool anymore. Like if you're just doing the thing that's cool right now.
I got my eyebrows microbladed years ago because the big full eyebrows were really in.
They're not in anymore.
They're not in anymore, but like they're sort of.
Are they not?
Sort of
oh my god!
Let
me go fix my eyebrows right now.
No. But I'm regretting it because now like they're misshapen, so I'm trying to grow them out, and I'm like, why did I do that? Now I've got like weird tattoo marks that are like old on my face, and I was like, April, if you just would have stuck to what you look like and just filled them in with a pencil, you would have been fine. And now you got to deal with this
money.
And I would have maybe as well. So I just want to encourage everyone out there also listening to you, doctor, because I think that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and what we see now on social media and with all the filters and shit. People want to go to their plastic surgeon and ask them to look at these filters. It's not what's going to be trending in 5 years from now. Go express yourself with your clothing. That isn't permanent. Right. But
she loves clothes.
I do.
Not surprised.
Clothing, hair, makeup.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know if you want to comment on that. I do have a question, but I just, that came up for me. I wanted to share. You are really like, so you're like Siri. I just want to ask you shit and then talk to you about it. Like,
are you AI?
I'd be like, Dr. Tara, what do you think about this? Can I text you?
Yes, you can text me.
Perfect.
Oh my god, so that's what the question she really had. Can I text you?
Yeah, that's it. Are you serious? Are you actually serious? Okay, so what are the predictors of long-term sexual satisfaction? I'll get to an actual question, and I'm sorry that I went off on such a tangent.
It's a good tangent.
The listeners are probably like, God damn it, April, shut up, squirrel.
Gucci squirrel. Fine.
No, I think that's a really good point. Before we move to predictors of long-term sexual satisfaction, I do think that there is a balance between like agency, like doing things for yourself versus doing things because you want other people to think of you in a certain way. And I think beauty is kind of like one of those things. If you investigate, if you meditate it, if you journal, and it is like, these are some of the things you want to do for yourself, feel free to do so. Like, I would never shame women for getting Botox or, getting a facelift or whatever they want to do. But at the same time, there is a lot to be said between doing things for yourself and doing things because you want other people to not judge your aging. Mm-hmm. And by the time I'm 50, like maybe I'll talk about it differently. But for now, I think that's kind of my belief is I haven't yet get Botox, but a lot of my friends do. And I don't ever shame them for choosing to do it for themselves. But they always tell me like, Tara, you got to start young because by the time
we got white girl situations over here though. So this is different. We crack quickly. We crack really quickly.
Yeah. Well, all my white girlfriends are like, girl, you got to get it since you're 25. It prevents
You definitely do not need to do that.
No.
Not according to my friends. They were like, you're 10 years late.
Oh no. Yeah. So
But
one
yes.
thing, and I just want to just add, and I'll just make it really short, is that in the last year, I actually with the body neutrality thing, I was like, okay, I'm 38, turning 39, and soon to be my 40s, and to like have my, and not that I've ever had like a six pack or any of that shit, but like to have this idea that I always have to have a body that doesn't have meat on it, specifically around my stomach area, which is kind of natural for my body build and genetics. I'm like coming to terms with that, of just like, let's be fucking realistic. Like, do you all of a sudden want to start going to work out 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, as opposed to your lovely 1 hour? No, I don't. I want to, and also I'm a fucking woman. I have pubic hair. I have meat on my bones. And I'm not shaming like men for this, because I think it's also other women, right? Like this whole idea that we need to be a certain way. So that's just my like soapbox moment of something that
You embracing body neutrality.
it's been really powerful for me. Just like, okay, here, then the functionality piece, like this, having some cushion on my body actually feels better and healthier and warmer. So it's just, it's just a different approach that feels really helpful.
Yeah, I like it. Talking about body neutrality, but also body image, that's one of the variables that I studied in the study that I did 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, I embarked on this project where I wanted to collect data from as many people as possible within a 6-month period about their sex life, about their relationship, about how they feel about themselves, and how all of those things predict long-term sexual satisfaction. So in this study, the participants are either currently in a long-term relationship or they were in a long-term relationship. So all the participants had experience in long-term relationship. And I studied over 5,000 people. And based on the study, we found 4 different variables that are significant predictors of long-term sexual satisfaction. And I feel like you guys can guess here because you actually talk about it in your book. So,
Okay, and
want
how
to
many of
guess
them?
some of the variables?
Yes. So can I go first?
Please
Yes.
go first.
Excellent communication skills. Something about communication.
Yes.
Communication.
Yes. So
Yes.
sexual communication is one of the variables that are actually a very strong predictor of
I'm going to go
long
with huge testicles on the. I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm totally kidding.
Communication.
close, but sexual self-esteem.
Oh, wait,
Okay,
but sorry, on the
okay.
communication piece, can I throw this in there? You talk about the difference between micro and macro communication.
yeah.
Can we talk
Yeah.
about that right now as you discuss that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So communication being like one of the most significant predictors of long-term sexual satisfaction, we have to look at communication in 2 aspects, micro and macro. Macro communication is let's talk about sex. And then micro communication is the communication that happens before, during, and after sex. It's 2 different types of communication skills because one can kind of communicate during sex. Maybe they can say dirty things. Maybe they can say like, oh, put it in here. Maybe they have the confidence and agency to say, do you have contraception? Like, are you wearing a condom? Right. But maybe they don't have the macro skills of, hey, can we sit down and talk about the things I want to explore this year?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
it's 2 separate kind of things. And every long-term relationship, I mean, even short-term relationship too, needs both. You
Mhm.
need to do the macro communication and micro communication. Macro communication, I always recommend people like you can start this conversation as early as the first date. And it sounds controversial because whenever I say this to a journalist, they're like, you recommend talking about sex on the first date? I'm like, yeah.
Mhm.
If I'm trying to normalize it, it should be normal to mention whenever. Like if I'm in a line at Starbucks, I should be able to like say, did you masturbate today? You seem happy. If
Put
we're
that smile
trying
a
to
little bit.
normalize talking about it as if it's like nothing, like the weather, then we should be able to say on a first date, like, so, sexually, what are you like? Like, what are you like and what do you like? Right? Like, why can't we have that kind of conversation? And then, of course, like when you start dating, talking more in depth about preferences, expectations, and then, even when you start to like be in a relationship, talking about what kind of relationship structures are you thinking about? Is there a potential of exploring these ABC in the future? But then again, all of these are only available to the people that have already done their personal work, right?
Mhm.
You can't really talk about the things that you prefer without knowing the things that you prefer, right? If you don't know your preferences, you really can't have these kinds of conversations. So we have to kind of like dial it back to the study and look at these other variables that come before sexual communication, because the model is, here are the 3 variables that predict sexual communication, that predicts long-term sexual satisfaction. So I already mentioned it. The first one is sexual self-esteem, like knowing your self-worth, knowing that you deserve pleasure, knowing that you deserve a good sexual relationship either with your long-term or short-term partner. So sexual self-esteem is extremely important, and it's like prerequisite to all the things. By talking to both of you, I already know you have like really high sexual self-esteem and that you can advocate for yourself because you know you're worth it. But that's the epidemic in the world right now, is a lot of young people don't understand that they are worthy due to a lot of social comparison, due to social media. Back when we were young, like I'm 35, when I was young, there's no social media. So I don't see these millions of other people going on private jets, buying Gucci, like at the age of 18, right? But kids these days see these things young and they compare themselves to all these other people and therefore don't really feel that self-worth. And, that sexual self-esteem part will then.
Yeah, it's like people base themselves on what they have, not who they are. And I always say, I tell this, I have 3 stepdaughters and they're all beautiful. And I'm just like, your value and your worth is never based on the things that you have. It's always, or the experiences even that you have. Yes, on some level. However, and I didn't mean to interrupt you because you were on a great one. And I just wanted to say that for the young people, if there are young people or even people that aren't super young, like this is why my interaction and my relationship with social media has shifted, because I would be one of those people that would judge what I have and thinking that's who I am. And I'm like, no, just because I'm not flying on a private jet, just because I don't have my partner sending me Louis Vuitton handbags that I'll never use all the time, like that doesn't make me a person that isn't lovable, valuable, and highly, beautiful for this world to be in. So yeah, same with you, Amy, and same with you, Dr. Tara.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay, thank you. Woo.
So that's the 2. So that's okay.
Sexual self-esteem is number 1.
And then communication number 2, or do we skip?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So 2 more.
Okay. Yes.
Ooh. What's next? Oh, we have to guess. Oh.
Next is really, really close to sexual self-esteem. And sometimes people use this word
Confidence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good job, Amy. I was thinking something else.
Well, like balls.
I was thinking balls again.
Yeah. Of course.
Because the goals.
Yeah. Squirrel
but
balls.
Sexual confidence that comes from within, sexual confidence that's not based on the feedback of the other person, like sexual confidence that's based on self-evaluation. So this is a big part of whether or not a person decides to communicate about sex. People who score high in sexual self-confidence are significantly more likely to communicate, like advocate for their own sexual needs and desires. People who are moderate to low sexual confidence tend to not. So that's kind of like another prerequisite, is like we got to work on that first in order for people to start implementing these communication tips and strategies that we hear. The last variable, you want to guess, this has been talked about a lot in the last, I would say 2 to 3 years, ever since COVID. I think this comes to mind a lot.
Independence.
No, it is. It is like something that you do as a person. So it is sex related, but it's not necessarily
Masturbation.
Oh, self-pleasure practices.
So that's within this realm. But what is it?
We're not good at this game.
What is it that people are really promoting? There's, like apps for it. There's
desire, arousal.
It's related to like
AI.
Someone else. Wait, it's related to what? Wait, say it.
Related to like tantra, like what's in here?
breath, energy.
Your brain is your
heart.
biggest sex organ. So get out of your head and into your body. Be more one with Buddha.
Holistic.
Be with Buddha.
What's the word for it?
Oneness.
Starts with an M.
Mime. Really? Mime?
Mind what?
Mind. Oh, meditation.
Mindfulness.
Yes.
Mindfulness.
God damn it. That was painful for everyone's probably like, oh man, we're fast forwarding.
Bearing with
I
us,
bet
everyone.
they're listening and guessing as well. I hope they're listening and guessing
They're
as
like,
well.
fuck, Amy and April, it's mindfulness.
If you're not watching
mindfulness.
YouTube though, Dr. Tara was giving us lots of signals. She was like praying and like then like bowing and like it's like that was great. I was like, how do we not get? I was like, meditation, masturbation. Okay, so please continue.
Clowns. Okay.
They're in the car, like it's mindfulness, Amy and April. Yes. So sexual mindfulness was a variable that I very much wanted to study independently, but I thought, okay, why not throw it into this big study too to see what kind of interaction it has with sexual satisfaction and the other variables, right? Because we know sexual mindfulness as its own thing, as an activity. Like Dr. Lori Brotto, she talks a lot about sexual meditation and how in her experiments, those activities have helped people from, men that experience ED to women who had cervical cancer, who like had zero sexual desire to then build their sexual desire and feeling sexual again. So I know from reading those studies a while back that this practice is powerful. I just wasn't sure how to study it in my own way. But as a quantitative researcher, I wanted to see what this variable, how is it related to the other things that I'm already studying? So threw it in this study. And of course, I found that sexual mindfulness is one of the most significant predictors of long-term sexual satisfaction. So if you are someone that cannot be present, it is highly likely cannot be present during sex. It is highly likely you will not have pleasurable sex in a long run because you can have a hot, sexy one night stand and it was hot and it was, it serves its purpose. But then in a long-term relationship, without the ability to be mindful during sex and to like absorb all the pleasure and feel it in your own skin and your own body and your own breath, then you wouldn't enjoy it as much. And we see this in middle-aged women who claim they don't like sex.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it's the inability to actually enjoy it when it happens. One of the variables, of course, not blaming any woman because it's also the other person that's doing it as well. It takes two to tango. But at the same time, yeah, like we see this in a lot of middle-aged people, men as well, and women that don't really have the capacity to absorb pleasure. And that's because they don't practice mindfulness in any way. Because there's so many different ways to practice it. Because I have some clients who are like, but I really dislike meditation. And I'm like, there are other ways. I think meditation is just a mainstream one that we talk about a lot. Sexual meditation is something I do daily and it has benefited me like huge, huge ways. But there are other ways. Like there's breath work, right? Taking deep breaths when you're in a car, like noticing your breath in your body. There's visualization, like just looking at something and visualizing it to be successful, or closing your eyes and visualize something to be successful, like having an erection, for example. There's journaling. There is like walk meditation where you go on a walk and instead of listening to music or talking on a phone, you just walk silently and be there. So there's so many like activities you
forest
can do.
bathing. That's what the Japanese call forest bathing.
I love forest bathing.
Yes.
Except that forest that has a lot of corpse.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I have. I don't remember.
Not be walking there.
No, don't do that. Or you can moon bathe. I like to moon bathe. Wear your sunscreen, everyone. When you're moon bathing, wear your moon screen. Yeah, I'm like moon bathing.
You both meditate, right?
Yeah, I've been really bad at in the last year though. I've like been actually maybe like 2 years. I used to be really good about it before 2020.
I have to. If I don't meditate, I just like I'm like a different person. It would not be as probably prone to
Same.
saying I'm like very tuned in. I'm not mindful.
And it's changed for both of us at different times in our life, our sex lives, because it taught us the single pointed focus of like staying with the sensations or the breath or something that instead of all the many streams of consciousness that can be really overwhelming, including the negative self-talk or like, what am I going to have for breakfast tomorrow? Things that are pointless to be there when you're in Pleasureville. So yeah, it's a complete game changer. And I like that you said it doesn't have to be meditation though, because for a lot of people, they're like, oh God, I have to sit there for 10
spiraling.
minutes. Or like it's for hippies or whatever. So yeah, it made it more relatable.
Walking quietly. I really like that. Yeah.
And also if it's your first time doing that, maybe just give it a second or third time if it's uncomfortable. Like for me, when I go walk without listening to a podcast or something, I'm like, oh wait, what do I do? But I used to know how to do it, so I know I can do it now because I used to do it all the time. When I was the only child, I did not.
I pay attention to weird shit. I'm like, whoa, look at that crack on that wall over there. Or look at that really cool leaf.
Or that cloud.
But usually I'm just dragging my dog behind me because he's the worst walker ever of all dogs. He's the worst walker. You have to drag him. He marks every 5 seconds.
He's busy.
But I bet like taking care of your dog allows you to be more empathetic, which then translates to being a really good lover.
She's like, question. She's like,
empathetic lovers are the best lovers.
Oh yes, yeah.
I would like to say I'd like to agree with you. I'm like, yes, I am, but no, I get really frustrated with my. I'm like, legend, let's fucking go, bro.
It's not about you.
I'm like, dude, I call him Pokey Joe. I'm like, Pokey Joe, get it together. Let's go.
Oh my God.
But it's not.
And he's not offended though. He's like, I'm fine.
No.
Fuck you.
And then he's like, I'm not going. And then he holds his little paws down, and I have to drag him. I'm like, yeah,
you're embarrassing.
You're embarrassing me. I'm like, yeah, he's worse.
No, not the Asian mom.
She's the Asian mom.
You're embarrassing me. Yeah. You're not performing well.
Yeah, you're an embarrassment.
I know. And I'm like, let's go. Okay, so we should do a rapid fire thing because we have to wrap up. I don't want to because you really are. Yeah. I can see why. You are the internet doctor for things. Obviously, if I have a rash, I'm not going to text you or send a picture of it to you. Be like, Dr. Tara, what do you think this rash is?
Sexpert.
I got the resident Sexpert. We'll
stick to sex and relationships. I think
sex and relationships. Yeah. I'm learning so much and also just enjoying sharing. And Amy, rapid fire for Dr. Tara. We hate rapid fire.
So we want to do rapid fire because it makes us really uncomfortable. And so we're actually going to try it with you. But you're also the internet's resident sexpert. So you're like the person we should ask. So, okay, start. And they're all going to be about positions. Number one, best positions for pussy owners having sex with penis owners who have smaller cocks.
Lifted missionary, put the pillow under the butt so that so it angles like directly at the penis can go as deep at it as it possibly can.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Right.
Best positions for pussy owners having sex with a huge cock.
Like too huge for their pussy, but they're like, I want to have sex with this. I love this cock.
Oh yeah, love it. Spooning was really good because like you close your leg, so like it has like meat and a cushion, so that it allows for the big penis to kind of get stimulated, even though they can't go in all the way.
Ooh,
stimulated by the leg meat, the thighs.
It's like a bumper that you make yourself.
Yeah, so there's that product,
a cock bumper,
like the O nut, which is awesome. It's like a bumper you put on the cock, but you're saying your thighs can become that.
And that's also a workout, right? Because you're getting like thigh.
But also you're like relaxing the same time.
Yeah. So you're getting
thigh
like
stimulation.
Yes.
I love that. Okay. Best positions for going down on a pussy, mouth on pussy.
Ooh, pussy worshipping. So the man on the floor, woman on the edge of the bed, lift her legs, and man like on the floor just go at it.
Ooh, on his knees. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that is going in the Instagram clips for sure.
Okay, so that best positions for going down on a cock.
Ooh, I'm a fan of hovering. So I lay down flat and my husband hovers his penis into my mouth, and then he can move it up and down so that I can like deep throat, but not really doing the work.
And then you can also grab his ass or his hips.
Like a doll. Like I know I don't even do that.
So wait,
I just lay there and open my mouth.
Is this different? Is this the same as face fucking then?
Yeah.
Okay, face fucking.
I would say face fucking is probably way more like engaging than
okay.
I like this. I think men really like it too because it feels like you're having sex with like a sex doll.
I'm all about this position. And for me, when I'm doing it, I can do a variation of like, I want you to like essentially fuck my face. Like you're doing the movement. I'm just laying here.
Yeah.
And then sometimes like, okay, no face fucking, but I'm going to take your hips in my hands. And it's not a lot of work.
Ooh.
I'm just barely like
I
pulling
do
them.
that all the time, even if I'm like not laying down. I'll do it when like the cock is like in front of me because I like
Yes.
I like the feeling. I like the and so does he usually because I ask
Oh
obviously.
yeah, like when you sit on the bed and they stand up,
Yeah.
and then they just, like fuck
Ooh.
your mouth.
Yeah,
and
so
you
I like
just
grabbing
kinda have to be there and be
Yes.
pretty.
And that's
Yeah.
not a lot of work for anyone either. You're sitting, they're standing. Everyone
Exactly.
wins.
Yeah, we're all fans of not a lot of work.
Or efficiency.
We work hard during the
Efficiency,
day.
yeah.
Okay, it's working
Yeah.
smarter, not harder,
Yeah.
people.
Exactly. Oh my God, talking about that, working smarter and not harder. I was just talking about quickies the other day and how like quickies are so amazing. And I can't believe that it's been stigmatized for so long for like lazy people. You
Yeah.
know, like, oh, you gotta have sex for like 3 hours, man. I'm like, no, I don't.
Mm-mm.
No, I don't.
No,
No.
I say a hell no to that. I'm like, okay, come
Yeah.
on, quickies. There's something to say about quickies. There's something to say about
place.
the longevity. I can't have sex for hours and hours. I like sometimes if I have a lot of time, the longer sessions, but
Yeah.
quickies are fun. And that's what I love using my toy too. So I can get off faster. And yeah, I encourage my partner.
And then
I'm
you
like,
go
"Let's have a
start your
quickie."
day. You're
And
like,
then you
here's-
start your day. And I'm
yeah.
like, I'm glowing. I have the orgasmic glow.
Yeah. I'm ready for the red carpet.
How the day is gone.
Yeah, I feel like we can hang out with you all day. Speaking
Same.
of which, the longevity is here, Dr. Tara, okay, with us
Ooh.
in our conversations, okay? So yeah, we have to wrap up. I'm so bummed. We'll have to at least have you back to
Next
talk
time
about
in
other things.
person. In person.
Yes, because
Yeah.
you are in California as well. So tell folks out there how to find you, your podcast, also your social handles, because you are so huge on the social media channels. And if you have any other things that you'd like to share, I know you do so much. So please just share with Shameless Sex listeners if you can.
The Instagrams.
The grams
Yeah, on the
and
grams.
TikToks,
Yeah.
the
On the
TikToks.
socials.
Yes. Hi, Shameless Sex listeners. You can find me on my website. That's lovebites.co, LUVBITES.co. My TikTok and Instagram are also lovebites.co. And my podcast is Love Bites by Dr. Tara. It's on all platforms as well as YouTube. I have my ebook for sexual empowerment. It's 30-day exercises for sexual empowerment that you can also find on my website.
And do you work?
I
So you
love-
said clients? Do you work with people
Oh, yeah.
privately as well?
I do, but the list is closed currently.
Oh, sorry, everyone closed.
Well, maybe you
Follow
can get
her
on a
on
wait
social.
list. You can email and
Yeah,
get,
get on the
Follow her
wait
Instagrams.
list.
I'm sure on Instagram she'll
Instagrams.
announce when it opens up.
Get on the grams and ask, okay?
Yes.
Oh, wow. You are just incredible. It was so great meeting you in person when we
Thank
were
you
at
so
the Vibe
much.
show in LA. And then we look forward to seeing you again really soon and having you be our resident doctor here, the sex expert, Dr. Tara, because I think the show will be great. And tune into Love Bites. That's I think really a great name. And that's the name of your podcast as well. So Love Bites, and it's anywhere podcasts are listened to. That was such a fun show. It went so fast. I couldn't believe that we were already over an hour, and I can't wait to listen to this again because I will on Monday. So before it airs, I just make sure everything sounds good. Okay. To all of our listeners out there, thank you for your attention and for your love and for your energy and for wanting to change your life. Meaning by having more pleasure and listening to folks like Dr. Tara. If you love us, please show us by giving us some 5-star reviews on anywhere they accept reviews. That's iTunes. I think like at some point now we're at like 4.4 stars on iTunes. And some of the reviews are so fucking whack. I looked at somebody said gross with 1 star.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was like,
Same.
what's gross?
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Haters.
really? So if haters gonna hate, if you're a troll, go troll yourself, like in the bathroom, okay? And if you are a person that listens, Please review. I'm a horrible person with reviewing, but I've started to try to review things that I do love because I think it helps.
Oh, I think like 10 to 30 positive reviews will get rid of that. Like not get rid of it, but help with that one negative one that was bullshit.
And some of them do 1 stars and like best podcast I've ever listened to 1 star. Or some people are like,
stars, right?
I like to sleep with 15-year-olds. Do you 1 star? And I'm like, what the fuck?
We got that one deleted.
Yeah.
Thank
but
you.
Anyway, so I'm sorry to go off on a tangent. That's my last one. I just feel so safe with all of you and with Dr. Tara and Amy. Thank you. All right. We will see you next Tuesday, everyone. Ciao for now.